We're tracking the wily and elusive Khameleon Harris. Now, this little bugger has been known to be very feisty. You don't want to approach it by yourself. I mean, it's been known to turn on its owner just like that, And if you get a little too close, you might just lose a finger. So let's go ahead and see if we can track and find the wily and elusive Khameleon Harris. Now, so I had to give a little, shout out to Crocodile Dundee, because when you're dealing with a species like the wily and elusive Khameleon Harris, you got to be careful. I mean, this is a very dangerous creature. See, if you know anything about the chameleon, it's an animal that adapts to the situation it's in. It's always saying, you know what? My number one priority is save my life. And whatever I got to become, I'll do it. I don't care. I ain't shame. I ain't got too much pride. I would degrade myself. If the environment is doo-doo green, then I turn doo-doo green. If the environment is doo-doo brown, y'all doo-doo brown, I would turn doo-doo brown. It doesn't matter. It looks around and says, whatever I got to do to survive and get ahead, I'll do it. It has no pride and no shame. And that brings me to you-know-who, Khameleon Harris, who has been willing to look at the scenario, the situation, and become whatever she got to become to get ahead. So go ahead. Let's just hang around and check it out and see what's going on with this wily and elusive, Khameleon Harris.
Do you believe in the mandatory buyback of quote-unquote assault weapons?
I do believe that we need to do buybacks, and I'll tell you why. They are weapons of war with no place on the streets of a civil society.
I will give the United States Congress 100 days to get their act together and have the courage to pass reasonable gun safety laws. And if they fail to do it, then I will take executive action.
Buyback. That may be the greatest formulation ever. It's like mandatory donation. It's not a donation, it's theft. A mandatory buyback isn't a buyback, it's seizure. Kamala Harris want to seize your guns? For the babies, of course.
We have to have smart gun safety laws. And we cannot tolerate a society and live in a country with any level of pride when our babies are being slaughtered.
Babies are being slaughtered. Okay, so clearly we have mislabeled Kamala Harris. Turns out she's one of the few pro-life Democrats in the Senate. It's for the babies, so Kamala Harris cares about the babies. You obviously don't, since you're for the Second Amendment. Defend yourself.
What a lot of people don't understand is she's talking about a gun confiscation. There are a lot of people out there who are new gun owners who are saying, oh, no, well, they're going to let you keep your guns. They just want these guns. No, it's a gun confiscation. And in the clip that you played, she talked about a mandatory buyback. But she did an interview in 2019 where she said she supported a forced gun buyback, which is essentially a gun confiscation.
Yeah. So
they can use whatever pretty fancy words or euphemisms that she wants to use, but what she's talking about is literally taking people's guns. And I think people really need to grasp that.
Now, did y'all hear that? The wily and elusive Khameleon Harris. I mean, one of the first things they do is, they want to disarm their opponent. See, that's one of the tactics of this particular creature. And it doesn't matter how it has to do it. Because it's like, I'm a chameleon. I become whatever I need to become. And I don't want no resistance. I don't want nobody pushing back. I don't want anyone whining and complaining. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take it by force. Now, is that something that we are okay with? I mean, if we put Khameleon Harris in charge of the whole country, because that's what we're doing. I mean, we're not putting creepy, sleepy, sloppy, slimy in charge of nothing. That man right now is somewhere tuckered away with a stocking cap on to keep his hair laid tight to his head, sleeping with his thumb in his mouth, and he ain't coming out anytime soon. So really, anybody who goes out and votes, they're going to be voting for Khameleon Harris. And when you do that, you don't know what you're going to get. Any given second, she could come out and be a whole different person. So let's continue seeing some of the traits of the whiley and elusive Khameleon Harris.
What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories. And they have a resident assistant. They make really bad decisions.
I myself, personally, I'm not speaking for my caucus, I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, when they're interested in all of this, when they're learning about government, to be able to vote. It's a subject of debate, but my view is that I would welcome that.
Passed now will affect the younger generation for years to come. Do you believe that Americans should have the right to vote at age 16?
I'm really interested in having that conversation. I have to tell you that. I think that there is no question that if we are looking at what is going on in our country, we are putting more responsibilities on people at a younger age. And the larger number of people that we can involve in the electoral process, I think the more robust it would be.
Well, there you have it. Perfect example of how much of a Khameleon Harris is. I mean, one minute she's like, these kids are dumb. Look at them. I mean, they don't even have, like, any brain cells floating around in their head. So dumb, we got to lock them up in cells. Can't do nothing right. Ain't worth a nickel. That's right, all idiots. Matter of fact, probably should just wipe out anybody that's under the age of 18. But then she goes on the campaign trail and gets asked that question, and a light bulb probably goes off in her head. You know what? This sounds like a pretty progressive idea. In fact, if we could bring in all those dumb young teenagers that I just referred to a couple months back, they're just dumb enough to vote for us because we've been pumping their head with all types of jargon about America sucks and it's racist and sexist and xenophobe, and they're all emotional. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and change colors for this. You know, I mean, I wouldn't mind talking about that. See, did you see the change? Did you see her switch? That Khameleon is real slippery. Let's go on and see how she adapts to other scenarios.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like
And I inhaled. I did inhale.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
All right. Now, you got to understand that right here, Khameleon Harris, she looked around and saw that, wait a minute, these all black folks. It's time for me to go ahead and release my panderation. And she went all the way over the top black. Y'all tripping up in this mud for real though, man. Woo, y'all be killing me though, for real though. So anyway, what's up? What's up? I mean, you know, I'm here. What y'all want to talk about? I mean, you know, Kamala in the house. Over the top. Over the top. I'm like, pull back on your blackness. You ain't that black. That's when you become too black, and it ain't based on your color. It's based on you trying to over-exaggerate your blackness to identify. This is a typical move from the wily and elusive Khameleon Harris. It is, let me adapt to the situation and release my toxic appeasement, my toxic panderation, to make all these folk who's watching me right now get swooned and woozy by my fakeness. So here she is, going way over the top with the blackness. Yeah. Hey, I mean, come on now. You know where I'm from, baby. I'm from the motherland, Jamaica. Pop, pop, pop. Booyaka, booyaka. You know how I do. Anyway, you know, I smoke a little weed. I mean, come on now. Who don't smoke no weed? See, she getting herself in trouble. And that's the problem. When you're a professional panderer, when you are a chameleon and you just flip-flopping, you're going through life, adapting to every situation, nobody knows what you really are. You become what you have to be. And so what she ended up doing right here is went too far. She got into the character of blackness so deep that she forgot that once I get out of this, I got to be accountable for some of the things that I said while I was pretending to be all deep, from the motherland and down with the brothers. So here she go, talking about smoking weed. Come on now, baby, you know me. Shoot, man, I'm talking roach clips, the ones that Mr. T used to have on his ears. Because, you know, you got to grab it real small. You get small, you know what I mean? You got that roach clip. I know something about that, baby. The tops. Remember tops, though? Yeah, see, I don't know nothing about that. We used to go get the top from the Arabs down there. You got to lick them, man. I'm saying. You know me, baby. I'm here passing it. There you go. I did it all. Yeah, she got too caught up in her character. And then the dude went one step further. She wasn't ready for the next question.
What does Kamala Harris listen to?
What were you listening to when you was high? What was on? What song was
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac, for sure.
People quickly jumped on what they saw as a contradiction, given that Tupac and Snoop Dogg were not producing music while she was in college. Harris graduated from Howard University in 1986 and later got her JD from the University of California in 1989. Tupac's debut album, Tupacalypse Now, came out in 1991, and Snoop's first album, Doggy Style, followed a few years later in 1993.
Y'all hear that? My man asked her, well, what type of music you listen to? Now, you know Khameleon Harris right here. She didn't know what to say. She's like, music? Man, in her mind, she, oh, man, I wasn't ready for this. I wrote down all my pandered notes. I'm sitting there going, okay, when around black voters act over the top black, you got to shuck and jive and buck and shake and stuff like that. And it doesn't say anything about rap music. All right, come on, Kamala. Let's see, okay. Only two people I could think of. Oh, yeah. I used to be up in the dorm getting zooted, baby, coming up with words that don't even apply to smoking weed. Man, I can't, you know, straight up zinked. I was zinked up in that mug. Like, zinked, what's that? You don't know nothing about that. We used to get zinked. Anyway, yeah. Let me see. It was, Snoop Dogg, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, drop it like it's hot. Crit walking, baby. And the other one was Tupac. See, she didn't do her research. Whoever is her pander coach did not do the research to find out that Tupac and Snoop Dogg wasn't even out during that time. Yeah, she stuck her big panda foot right down her throat. But let's continue.
They say you oppose legalizing weed.
That's not true.
I know.
and look, I joke about it, half joking. Half my family's from Jamaica. Are you kidding me?
It's really hysterical for the former attorney general of that state to talk about doing something illegal, laughing about it, giggling about it, and trying to get some traction for it.
She said, I'm Jamaican. Okay. One person who didn't think that was that funny was her own father. He's a Stanford professor called Donald Harris. He released a statement condemning what his daughter said. Quote, my dear departed grandmothers, as well as my deceased parents, must be turning in their graves right now to see their family's name, reputation, and proud Jamaican identity connected in any way, jokingly or not, with the fraudulent stereotype of a pot-smoking joy seeker and in the pursuit of identity politics. Speaking for myself and my immediate Jamaican family, we wish to categorically disassociate ourselves from this tragedy. It's amazing.
Oh, well, it looked like Papa Harris, he didn't know when he had a baby girl he was dropping out of Khameleon. He was like, oh, man, did the mailman stop by when I was at, what is this? I didn't raise this. I mean, instead of being popular with, you know, her father and her mother, she adapted and said, I'd rather be more popular with black folks who smoke weed. I'd rather be more popular to folk who listen to knuckleheads like Snoop Dogg, all of that stuff. I'd rather be more popular to folks who really don't matter to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw all my morals, my history, my pride, all of that right under the bus and forget that mama and papa might just come across that footage and dad didn't like it. Kudos to you. There you go. He said he embarrassed of this mess. I ain't got nothing to do with Khameleon Harris. Wow, that's tough. Now, if her dad was willing to out her about her character and her adaptations, then why are we to trust her? I mean, if your family members start saying bad stuff about you, I can't deal with you. See, because family will protect the worst members in their family. I mean, we all got them. We all got one of them folks always in jail, in and out, most of the time in, more so than out. Come to the picnic, never contribute, eating up all the food, loud for nothing, sometimes even want to fight. But we don't go out in the street and trash them. We sit at home, talk about it. And if anybody else come along that ain't family and mention something about that knucklehead cousin of yours, you're like, no, man. Those are my people. We could talk about it, but not you. But when you get so bad, where your family members like, man, that dude's a mess. I don't care who hears it. They horrible. Don't even mess with my cousin. You better take them seriously. And if Papa said that, we might want to take him seriously. Let's continue.
The author, Donald J. Harris, father of presidential hopeful Kamala Harris, shared some interesting facts about his daughter's ancestry. Dr. Harris wrote about the influence both his grandmothers had on his early childhood, growing up in Brownstown, Jamaica. But it's the ancestry of his paternal grandmother, Christiana Brown, made public in his article. When you base your politics on identity politics, when your entire political career is based on identity politics, things may tend to go south. When your dad openly reveals that your great-grandmother, one of the two most influential women of his childhood, is a descendant of Hamilton Brown, who's on record as a plantation and slave owner and the founder of Brownstown, Jamaica. And while I don't believe anyone should be judged because of their ancestors' actions or beliefs, a part of me can't help but chuckle at what the future holds for someone that employs the socially corrosive art of identity politics at every opportunity.
A little family secret, little historical information about Khameleon Harris that I'm sure she don't want people to know. Now, we could be like all of those crazy, stupid liberals and Democrats and try to assign guilt to her for something that she had nothing to do with. Because we're more mature, we're more socialized, we're more rational to think that we could hold him, her, or any of these folks accountable for something their family did many years ago in regards to slavery, racism, and all that stuff. We could do all that. We could play those stupid, silly games that the Democrats play, but no, we're not going to do it. But it is ironic that someone who majors in going around talking about victimization, everybody's a victim, and we need to talk about reparations and all of that crap. Well, I mean, sound like she might want to break the piggy bank because she need to be paying reparations to somebody in Jamaica if we're going by those liberal rules. Because it sounds like we could hold anybody accountable for any horrible things that took place in their family history and pride. I better not hear this Khameleon out on the trail talking about ancestral racism and slavery. Better not say a word about it. Mum's the word. Zip it. Take that key and throw it away. All right. But knowing her, she will adapt. Wherever she's at, she's like, whatever I got to say, I'll say it. Oh, what you want me to do? I do it. I just want power. I just want more money. I just want more fame, more influence. I don't care if I got to defile myself. Let's continue.
5 things you need to know about Joe Biden's vice presidential running mate, Kamala Harris. Senator Kamala Harris blocked the Senate twice from voting to protect babies born alive after botched abortions. Over 500 babies have been born alive after botched abortions across the country in the past decades, yet Kamala Harris refuses to give them medical care. She would rather doctors leave those living human babies to die. Kamala Harris also said she wants to completely abolish private health insurance. She said, let's get rid of it, when she was asked about private insurance. Kamala Harris wants to force people onto a government-run Medicare for All plan and prohibit people from having the option of paying for private insurance if that's what they prefer. Kamala Harris wants to give free Medicare for All instead to illegal aliens. That means you would be forced to pay taxes to fund a government-run Medicare for All system, and your money instead of going to pay for your own health care and your family's health care, would pay for the health care of foreign nationals who broke our law to enter our nation illegally. Remember that time Kamala Harris laughed about smoking marijuana herself after putting other people in prison in California for doing the very same thing? This is not only gross hypocrisy and double standards, it's dangerous for a politician in a position of power to practice a two-tiered justice system where her behavior is laughable, but the same behavior from other people is criminal. Even though AR-15s are used in less than 2% of firearms-related homicides every year, Kamala Harris wants to make it illegal for you to own them. And she wants government to take them away from you if you already legally own an AR-15. Kamala calls this a mandatory buyback, which we all know is a sneaky liberal phrase for government confiscation of your firearms. Kamala wants the government to come to your door and force you to surrender your firearms at the point of the government's guns.
Well, now, we just learned 5 things about Khameleon Harris that I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get too close to that creature because that creature doesn't seem stable. I mean, listen to all that stuff. Okay with, I guess, abortion after you have the baby. I mean, she's okay with all kind of stuff. You never know what you're going to get with her. She is like a big old box of chocolates. Remember that one? And my mom said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Yeah, we don't know what the heck we going to get when we reach in that bag of tricks. We don't know what we're pulling out because she might just adapt right in mid-stride. Huh? I'm so glad you informed me about this Khameleon Harris that people are going to be voting for. Let's continue.
Clearly wasn't picked for her personal charm. More than 30 years ago, she dated a man called Willie Brown. He was later the mayor of San Francisco. She was 29 years old at the time. Brown was 60 and still married. Brown launched Harris's political career. He knows her very well. Last week, Brown publicly urged Joe Biden not to pick Kamala Harris as his running mate. But it turns out Willie Brown's opinion no longer matters in the Democratic Party.
So listen, baby, you mean to tell me that Khameleon Harris dated Willie Brown? The Willie Brown? Listen, man, listen. That was back in the day, baby, when Willie had all the juice. So let me get this straight. Kamala/Khameleon Harris dated Pimp Willie Brown. Did y'all see that picture? Hat on. Willie looked like an old school pimp. And I'm going to tell you right now, in every black neighborhood, there's a pimp called Willie Brown. Somebody out there that got that name Willie Brown is pimping somebody. And he was pimping Khameleon. And Khameleon really was pimping Willie. That's what really happened. See, because my gut tells me that when Willie rolled up on the scene, what really impacted her was not 60-year-old, shriveled up, wrinkled up Willie Brown. I'm sure it wasn't his cool cat that he had. Nah, it wasn't that. It wasn't his big old collars or his pink Cadillac with the bamboo antenna on the back. It wasn't that. Nah, it wasn't his platform shoes and all his rings. It wasn't his smooth talking about some, look here, baby. Look, come here, baby. Let me lay something heavy on you. No, it wasn't that. I think that Khameleon Harris saw Pimp Willie Brown walk through the door and said, now what do I need to change into to further my career? And she changed and adapted and said, I don't care about who's getting hurt, how this looks, none of that stuff. I will endure hooking up with nasty, crusty, dirty Willie Brown, who's 30 years older than me and married. But this is a career move and a career choice. Now, if she willing to get with Willie Brown, what else is she willing to do for power?
Even politicians have souls, technically anyway. So how could Joe Biden pick a running mate who once publicly denounced him as a racist? You remember the moment. It was at a debate last summer.
I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
I do not believe you are racist. I do not believe you beat your wife. Right. Kamala Harris, civil rights icon.
What bothered you?
Praising and coddling individuals who made it their life works and built their reputation off of segregation of the races in the United States. That's a problem.
Harris grew up mostly in Canada. And in any case, forced busing was a disaster from the beginning to the end. Nobody liked it, including black families. Joe Biden may be a bigot, but it's not because he opposed forced busing. But apparently he's forgiven Harris for that slur. Maybe he doesn't even remember it. But even a dimming 77-year-old must have some memory of what Harris once said about his purported sex crimes. Just last year, several women came forward to say Joe Biden had touched them in sexually aggressive ways, both on and off camera. Kamala Harris wholeheartedly endorsed their claims. Quote, "I believe them, and I respect them being able to tell their story and having the courage to do it." Wait, what? You believe that Joe Biden sexually assaulted a number of women, sexually assaulted them, but you're joining his presidential ticket anyway. How does that work exactly? How can you do that? Well, as it turns out, she can do it happily, shamelessly, without even taking a breath. Just tell Kamala Harris what to say, and she will say it. That is the whole point of Kamala Harris. It's why she's so useful. And for the next several months, Harris is going to say that Donald Trump is a racist. She will say that every day until November. That's her job now. You watch. Moderate. Got that? A pragmatic moderate. Not some kind of kooky ideologue. Not some flaky lifestyle liberal from San Francisco. Not at all. No. Instead, someone who wants to solve America's toughest problems and solve them without regard to orthodoxy or partisanship. A sober, steady leader in troubled times. Actually, it might be nice to have someone like that. But that is not Kamala Harris, not even close. Harris has endorsed forcing schools to let biological males play on girls' athletic teams. That's not a majority position. It is nuts, but it's not as crazy as federally subsidized abortions for biological men. Harris is for that, too. She has announced it. Think that through for a minute. Men can't get pregnant, so how do we pay for their abortions? Harris has never explained that, of course. At this point, it would be systemically racist to ask her, so no one ever will ask her. Shut up, no questions allowed. Meanwhile, there is not a fashionable rich lady position that Kamala Harris doesn't have. Plastic straws are bad. Red meat is worse. If there was a bill to make SoulCycle mandatory, Kamala Harris would immediately get behind it.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should. Yes.
But would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes.
You know, the food pyramid. What people
yes.
To reduce red meat specifically.
Yes, I would.
Now, did y'all see how quick this Khameleon changed her colors? I mean, she barely let the woman even finish her statement. Would you, change your red meat? Yes. What else you want me to say? Yes. I mean, she didn't even stop to think about it. She sat back and was like, you know what? I'm going to put it on automatic yes, because you know what? I'm a chameleon. I am in pander mode. And every response is yes. This woman could be like, so would you eat a doo-doo sandwich? Yes. What about making it mandatory to pick boogers and spread them and wipe them on people when they ain't looking? Yes. You know what? Boogers for everybody. How about hitting old ladies over the head with a bag of nickels and then taking off with their goods? Yeah, you know what? Look, they shouldn't be out anyway with their walkers. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to just bust their head to the white meat to get ahead. Yeah, she knows something about that because she's busted a lot of heads to the white meat to get ahead.
She has non-frivolous positions on important topics, too. On health care, Harris believes that illegal immigrants have every bit the right to taxpayer-funded medical treatment that you do as a citizen. This is yet another position, whatever you think of it, that the majority of Americans do not support. But as we've noted, Harris doesn't care what most people want. They're not her audience. She was told to support free health care for foreign nationals who break our laws, and so she does support it.
You support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
So Kamala Harris isn't an idiot, and she knows what she just suggested is actually impossible. You can have a welfare state, lots of countries do. You can have open borders, but you can't have both. No country can survive with a welfare state and open borders. That is obvious. No one disputes it. But Kamala Harris doesn't care either way. The survival she cares about is her own survival. And by the way, if you think you can keep your family safe as the country collapses around her ambitions, you are wrong, because she plans to disarm you first.
Do you believe in the mandatory buyback of quote-unquote assault weapons?
I do believe that we need to do buybacks, and I'll tell you why. They are weapons of war with no place on the streets of a civil society.
We could go on and on. Oh, the ironies. A party that is angry about police brutality has just hired the former chief law enforcement officer of California. Again, there's a lot to say, and in coming weeks we'll say it. There's a lot of available tape, and of course Harris will soon provide more. But we're going to sum up Kamala Harris this way. Last year, when actor Jussie Smollett staged his fake hate crime, Harris was one of the first national leaders to jump in with an expression of support. Smollett was, quote, the kindest, most gentle human being Harris had ever met, she wrote. The attack on him was, quote, an attempted modern-day lynching. Okay, so she fell for it. Lots of credulous rich people did. But what makes Kamala Harris a remarkable figure is that in the face of changing evidence, she never recanted her support. That tweet is still up. She did not delete it. You can still read it on her Twitter feed tonight. Smollett's story was entirely concocted. Harris knows that. We all know it. But she doesn't care. In fact, Harris understands perfectly well why Smollett lied. By smearing Trump supporters as bigots, he hoped to advance his career. And Kamala Harris, of all people, can respect that.
Yikes. Ooh, man, Tucker. So, apparently, Tucker, and along with everyone else that has some rational sense, can see that this woman is self-serving. And she doesn't stand on anything. She'll fall for everything. She will adapt. She will try to survive. She will claw her way all the way to the top. And he pretty much summed her up. But it gets worse because, see, now she's about to go one-on-one with Tulsi, I think, Galbraith. And it's not pretty. So y'all might want to tell the kids to go to bed right about now because, this is about to get ugly. Now, let me set it up. Hold on for a second. Okay, hold on. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's main event. In this corner over here, we have nasty, dirty, stinking, funky Khameleon Harris. Boo. And over here, even though we don't believe in her crazy, wacky policies, but at least she appears to be sincere. None other than the woman in white, Tulsi Galbraith. All right, both of you ready? You good? Okay, all right, you good, Khameleon? Okay, all right. And fight.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, You did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Damn! Now that got ugly. Did you see Khameleon Harris trying to adapt and adjust in that situation? But she couldn't quite figure out what color to turn into because, you know, Tulsi kind of revealed that you a chameleon. You know, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I don't care where it goes, what it tries to adapt to or changes colors. Everybody was looking at her and she's like, all right, do I need to turn green, pink, brown, I don't know, gray, fuchsia? Oh, it ain't working because Tulsi's on me like a spider monkey and called her out for her hypocrisy. See, and that's what she gets for trying to adapt and change and appease and pander towards black folks by talking about all that weed she smoked while she locked up all the rest of those brothers and sisters for doing the same thing. Had a great time talking about it. Yeah, enjoyed it. That sounded a little hypocritical to me. See, so all those folks that she locked up, Tulsi called her out. Then called her out for hiding information that could have got a brother off of death row. Now, that's serious business. That ain't one of them you just at the BMV and they tell you to hold up. You're like, man, my whole Saturday is going to be messed up, man. They better hurry up. Look, what number I got? 120? Oh, man, what y'all on? 70? Oh, man. No. That's like, look, I'm running out of time. They're going to kill me. I need you to give me the access to this information. She ain't give it. I mean, what was up with that? What was up there? Oh, okay. So she's self-serving. She don't care about other people in situations like that. So Tulsi called her out. And you saw her try to, you know, hit her with a breakdance move to get out of it. That headlock she was in, but she couldn't. Yeah, Look, I could respond to all that truth that just exposed that I'm a chameleon. But you know what? I'm going to take the high road. Even though couple debates back, I didn't do that by calling the man that I'm working with right now a racist by declaring that I believe that all these women who said that he, you know, sexually harassed them, I believe them all. You know, even though I said all of that stuff when I was trying to beat him, and now I got the opportunity to work with him, and I'm going, you know what? Let me flip-flop, turn into someone else. You know, change my colors. Forget about the relationship that I had with Bo. Forget that. Poor old Bo in his grave. I'm sure he would not like to hear that Khameleon Harris was going around saying that, you know, creepy, sleepy, slimy, sloppy is really creepy, sleepy, slimy, and sloppy. Which, for once in her life, she probably told the truth. But because she's a chameleon, she said, well, that truth ain't going to help me advance my career. So let me go ahead and change it to something nasty and dirty and doodle brown, and came out talking about something I'm going to support Joe Biden. All of that other stuff went out the window. Now, I don't know about you, y'all, but when is the last time you saw someone say, you know what? That person over there is a molester, a rapist, a racist, all of that. But I'm going to go ahead and support him, hang out with him, work for him. Huh. So either you were lying on them and about them, or what you said is true, but you don't care because you just made an adaptation to further your career. And both of those are horrible. So Tulsi just dug into her. And here she comes back like, oh, man, she calling me out. Okay. All right. Look, I could deal with her, but I did stuff in my, what they don't like me there. I couldn't win my own state. You know what? It doesn't matter. I'm above all of this, and got her butt handed to her right there. And I enjoyed it for one. Well, anyway, let's get ready to wrap this up and see how to hit the dismount on learning about the wily and elusive Khameleon Harris.
You support the Medicare for All bill, I think initially co-sponsored by Senator Bernie Sanders. You're also a co-sponsor on it. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
Lastly, and this is why I hate politics, and politics is BS, because it shows you how awful people can be. I've heard the Kamala Biden story and about the strong connection between Kamala and Beau, but I wonder if she knew so much and learned so much about Joe's character through this close relationship with Beau Biden. Why did she say she believed the sex abuse accusers of Joe Biden? And why did she smear him as a racist sympathizer with segregationists if she had learned so much from Beau Biden? And it's probably because she's just lying. And if she can make an attack like that on Joe Biden for debate theatrics months ago, it's reasonable to conclude that the ruination of Brett Kavanaugh was also just hearing theatrics, that she will ruin you for political reasons. So if you are new to politics, you've learned a sober lesson. It's complete and utter BS. People will say anything to get power. So what she did was she was willing to crush Kavanaugh and crush Joe Biden, but when the door opens up for power, that all goes out the window.
Greg Gutfeld. Now, you know, this right here is sad to say that folks that have been brainwashed for the last 4 years, running around talking about Donald Trump's racist, I hear them still spewing out narratives that were dropped out in the beginning that has been debunked, but because that the left, the liberals, the Democrats have all of their minions, you know, running interference for them, making sure that this information isn't used against them, suppressing it. Half of these clips I had to dig to find. They put them like at page 59, stuff like that. Since they've been running interference for 4.5 years, a secret, covert, which really is overt operation, that if you got 2 eyeballs, you can see. Because of that, folks won't even hear this wonderful statement by Greg Gutfeld. They really summed it all up, because as you look at the Khameleon's behavior, who at one point was willing to destroy Joe Biden for political purpose, was willing to destroy Brett Kavanaugh for political purposes. Do you think that she would hesitate to destroy you, me? Huh? Do you think she would hesitate, pump the brakes when it comes down to rolling straight over our civil liberties? I mean, you heard her. She take them guns, get them on out of here. I do it. Don't you? What are you looking at like that? I call Willie Brown. And my pimp, when my pimp forsook me. Oh, forget him. I was through with Willie. See, once his career was over, I was done with him. I got what I needed to, you know what I'm saying? But so don't make me. I'm the pimp now. So when you look at this woman's track record and you look at some of the things she's done to get ahead, I think any sensible person could put 2 to 2 together and conclude that she's evil. She will do whatever she got to do, say what she got to say, adapt how she has to adapt to get ahead, gain that power. And if it means ruining innocent folks, she'll do it. Along with the rest of these nasty, dirty, stinking, funky Democrats. And I hope that some of those folks that's considering voting for Joe Biden and, you know, Khameleon Harris, I hope they take a second to run across either this video or some of these clips and stop for a second and think like, man, she is pretty vicious. Do I want someone like that? A woman that lacks all type of compassion. She's so ambitious that she come across like an evil villain in a Walt Disney movie. Man, so anyway, and I know what they're going to do. Oh, you say, you shouldn't say, you wouldn't say that about a man. Yes, I would. Because Joe, creepy, sleepy, sloppy, slimy, creepy, dirty, stinking, you know, just, I can't come up with many. Let me see. Sleepy, sloppy, creepy, slimy, sleazy. And what else? Yeah, I'm sure I come up with some more wonderful words for Joe Biden, but I say the same about him. He's self-serving. That's why I make a little bit of fun of Joe, even though I know he's slow right about now. Because when you go back down his path, he was just as corrupt and dirty as she was. So I guess they just a match made in heaven. But not to run our country, because this here is America. Greatest country on the planet. So anyway, you've been listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. Yeah, I put that together for y'all enjoyment. We all need to know who we're voting for. We don't want to be blindsided and think we're voting for an apple and find out it's an orange that's simply adapted. Say, you know what? They think I'm an apple. Kind of like CNN. Anyway, so God bless. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Make sure you're still subscribed and your notifications are set to all. Check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. If you like their products, click on the link. You'll get a 20% discount by putting Kevin in the promo code. If you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link below this video to do that as well. And follow me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. What else? Well, I say YouTube, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. The links are in the bottom. And then also don't forget, check me out every Wednesday night, 7:30 live in Kevin's Corner, Facebook, YouTube, and my radio blog talk show. God bless. See y'all next time in Kevin's Corner.